What up, y'all? This is a one on one interview with a seasoned tech sales leader who's done countless interviews. And the whole goal of this episode is to pull back the curtains on what we look for as managers when we're interviewing people like you, and some tips, some insights, some tricks for you to make sure you're showing up well during these interviews. Enjoy. Give us the intro, man. Like, why should we listen to you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Steve. I've been in tech sales for over 8 years. And within those 8 years, I've gone from IC or individual contributor to team leads. Running BDR organizations in the Americas and then globally, and then also, promoting and working my way to inside sales teams that are dealing with AEs that are full sales cycles. So they're doing the BDR every day, and then they're doing the AE closing every day as well. So
Wow.
plenty of experience. Built about three or four different organizations now, from the ground up, mainly, and then refining all processes and hiring on a month to month, day to day basis.
Nice. So you said you're eight
Yeah,
years in?
yeah, about 80
Okay.
years. Yeah.
Okay, take us to 8 years ago real quick. Like, how
Yeah.
did you end up in tech sales? What was your entry point? What did that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a funny story. This is one of my favorite stories. Is it throughout college, and right after, friends, family always said I should get into sales. I tried to avoid sales as much as possible. Managed Urban Outfitters, managed hotels, and then I went into Austin and found a recruiting job. And it was pretty much selling. I had to reach out to neuro doctors and surgeons, and they had to come work for me. And I found them jobs all around, the country. And it was a lot of hand jamming, about 100 people a day in office. And I had a roommate at the time, and he was in tech sales already. And he was one of the ones that said, "Hey, listen, you need to get into this." I still refused until I saw his work-life balance, the money he was making, and just the people he was meeting and networking with. And so I said, all right, this is my hard pivot. I'm going to start applying into tech sales. One of the companies I applied for, I was denied. And then about 6 months later, I reapplied. I saw that they had another role open, made my interview a little bit more prevalent to not only what I could bring to the team, but what I've learned from the first interview to the second interview. And that's what got my foot into the door, and then quickly started excelling once I
Wow.
realized that I loved sales.
Wow. I
Yeah.
avoided sales like the plague too. For
Yep.
me, it's because I wanted a very stable income my whole
Hmm.
life. So I was trying to go government
Yes.
and go work in DC because then I could like forecast 15 years of my budget, which would have been made me really happy. So that's really cool that that's your entry point there. Now, quick question: 8 years ago, getting into tech sales looks
Yeah.
very different than today. So
Yes.
8 years ago, it was like you could put in an application and land an interview. It sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, it was. There were a few companies within Austin that were pretty much hiring non-experienced straight out of university, because they had some of the best programs, and especially it was all in person. So you pretty much were in those programs on a day-to-day basis, and they could see you evolve and your career evolve within the first few months. And completely different than now, where there a lot of companies are still remote or hybrid. And the market is very interesting because there's a lot of people with a lot of experience trying to break into the tech world.
Mhm.
And so even the new grads are now having to compete with people who maybe aren't necessarily experienced in the tech sales, but maybe have sales experience in the past.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
100%. You said it well. Okay. All right, cool. So let's
Yeah,
jump into maybe, yeah, top 3 questions you like asking candidates.
cool.
What's one of the first ones that comes to mind?
The first one's the drive for me. Sales is really tough. And if you're getting into tech sales, you're either probably getting into a SMB to inside sales type of role that's full sales cycle, and maybe just pivoting industries, or you're getting into the SDR, BDR world. And so both those worlds are, or roles are really hard. And you have to have that smile on your face. You have to have that, the drive to want to hop on calls every day, want to prospect every day, because that's how you're going to hit your number, and that's how the company hits their number, right? And so the drive's important. And I don't mean, it has to be something like, oh, I'm, just really trying to prove myself, which I love to see. Sometimes it is just as blatant as, hey, I want to make as much money as I possibly can. And somebody with that drive will go in and out every day, look at the leaderboard, and make sure they're at the top to make the most money. Others may have family, goals that they want to hit, personal goals, travel goals, anything like that is what I look for. What's going to keep going? And one thing that drove me as a BDR into getting into the tech world was just printing out my goals and having it at my desk every day, and that's what drove me, and that's what I look for is that mentality in everybody else.
I love that. I love that. So one thing that I think we can maybe uh, demystify for people listening who are not managers, who aren't running interviews,
Yep.
guys, we like to hear personal reasons. Like we want
Yep.
to hear from you that you want to create a better financial future for your family, or you want to go travel, so you want to ball out, or you want to own Airbnb properties one day. Like, you don't need to be so stiff and say, oh, I really like how technology is emerging. And, it's like, no,
Exactly.
like that's not going to push you through 60, 70, 80 dials a day when you're behind on quota because
Yep.
tech is cool. Like, no,
Yeah.
you need a real driver or motive.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to humanize it, just like you want to humanize yourself when you're selling to prospects. You really want to humanize yourself just as an employee, right? You want to say, these are my goals, and working at X, Y, and Z company is going to help me hit those goals, whether it be, trying to get to become that top tier AE, or just travel, once a month somewhere and work remotely that way.
Mhm.
And that's cool too. And that's what I want to see. I want to see, and then as a manager, I want to see, okay, is that somebody that I can coach and leverage their motivation on a day to day and week to week, and hone in on those skills? Because if it is something like, owning their own Airbnb, I'm gonna, do all of the trainings and kind of mirror that thought process. Okay, your pipeline is your houses that you own, right? And this is the clientele that you're going to be going after, your ICP that you want to go after to stay in these houses. Well,
Yeah.
that's the same thing over here, right? And so it just makes it even easier as a manager to say, okay, I know this person, I know what their goals are. Now, how do I relay that to the day to day in tech
Yeah.
sales?
The hardest type of rep for me to manage historically has been the rep that has never opened up. Because
Yeah,
I have no, like, I don't know you. I don't know what you care about. It's really hard to work with someone like that. So to
yeah,
your point, in these interviews, like, just be you, be real, keep it authentic, because you're gonna show me who you really are, and then in that way, I'll be able to connect as a human and be like, hey, I actually think that's really cool. That's one of your goals. I kind of want to work with you to help you achieve that if you're going to show up and work hard. So,
yep, yeah. No, I completely agree with that. It is something that will show where your future is at just by answering that simple question,
yeah,
honestly, and with a passion.
that's good. Okay. What's
Yeah.
kind of the second thing you ask or look for during these
Yeah.
interviews?
During the interviews, towards the end, or maybe halfway even, I like to ask, when's the last time you sold? And that's always an interesting, because for the BDR world, sometimes people take it literally and they mention, oh, I sold some sneakers on Facebook Marketplace. And that's interesting to me. And they had to negotiate and stuff. And the literal part of it is where I think a lot of people go. I think where I look for is a unique way of thinking, and
Mm.
those who can say, "Oh, well, I'm selling myself right now." That's
Yes. Come
somebody
on.
that I know is okay. They're always in the sales mindset, right?
Yeah.
They're always looking to sell something, whether it be, "Hey, let's go out, and get a whole bunch of friends to come out this weekend," and they're
Mm.
selling their friends at, for this experience this weekend and getting everybody to say yes, all the way to, okay, yes, I'm selling myself on an interview. You're going to want me at the end of this. That's even harder to do than saying, hey, here's a product and I want you to buy this product.
Oh, that's so good, man. I'm kind of self flattered that that was gonna be my answer. If you asked
Yeah,
me that, I
there you
would have said,
go.
I'm telling you right now. I
Exactly.
told my wife on staying married to me this morning. That was
There you
great.
go.
Like, you can have some humor with it for sure. I think that's a
Absolutely.
really good point, though. where 90% of candidates are just going to go very like stiff again, just
Hmm.
very like business, professional, which matters, but
It
can we
does.
add some humanity to it? Can you be
Exactly.
an out of the box thinker? Can you be different than the 90%? And I
Yeah.
think that's a great answer. Silly little quips here and there are good too. Like, just show me who you are.
Yeah, yeah, and that's really it, right? Like you are trying to set yourself out from the pack. And if you're really stiff and you're saying what ChatGPT is telling you to say, chances
Mhm.
are everybody else typed in something very similar and got something very similar as the answer into ChatGPT. And I think
Yeah.
that's where like using AI is productive, because you don't have to start from ground zero, but you really can go in and then mock it up to, okay, this is how I'm going to personalize it to me, and this is how I'm going to stick out. And that's what I
100%.
look for. Who can stick out compared to everybody else? I have interviews almost on a daily basis. So I'm at least, talking to 20 to 30 people a month. And the ones who are able to stick out, those are the ones where I'm laying in bed and being like, I hope that that person, finishes out the round really successfully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep,
100%. And there you go. There's like some more insight. Listeners, we do think about y'all after the day, and
absolutely.
we're like, "Man, I really want this person to do well. I wanna hire her. I wanna hire him." And so, but if you're like everyone else, you're just one more interview and we forget about you. So,
Yeah, yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
3rd thing, what is it?
Third thing, it's less of a question and more of a wait and see.
Mhm,
And this is at the end of the interview. I always tee it up with, do you have any last minute questions for me? If the person closes me by saying, do you have any hesitation with me moving forward? Do you have any reservations? Is there something I can elaborate on that, may cause me to not be able to move forward? Please let me know that. Anybody who closes me, that's where the smile comes out in me. And knowing me, I'm always having a smile. So then it just becomes even bigger. But that's what I look for. I love when people close me. It's the same
mhm,
mindset of, okay, I don't care if you're a person. I don't care if you have all these different goals or, what you've sold last. What I care about is, okay, yes, I'm a person. And two, I always think about selling and I'm going to close you right now. And here's why I should be on your team. That's what
mm.
I look for every time.
I love that. Full agree. I think
Yeah.
that's essential whenever it's funny you say smile because I have done the same thing. Like I'll get to the end of an interview and even in my head, I'm like, please close me, please close me, please close me. And they
Yep.
do. And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna be a great candidate. You're crushing it. Um,
Yes.
so I think two reasons why people don't close is one, they typically just don't know. Like they're ignorant to like,
Right.
oh, I should close an interview. So listeners, like please close your interviews. But
Absolutely.
two, maybe they think it's like too aggressive or too forward. No, like that's
Yeah.
why we're on the interview to see if we're going to move you forward. So just be real with us. Like, hey, I really appreciate feedback and it's the only way for me to grow. And you're not going to hurt my feelings, but I do have a question if I could get your feedback.
Yeah.
Sure, what's up? It's based on our conversation and your review of my resume. Is there any reason I wouldn't have your recommendation to move forward? If so, I'd love to talk about that face to face.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yep. And that's really what it is, right? Like you want to be as transparent as possible, especially if you are going into sales. I want my reps to blatantly ask customers certain questions because they need certain answers to then be able to qualify or disqualify a prospect, right?
Mhm.
And my team's job, I always tell them, you better disqualify just as much as you're qualifying, because you don't want to waste time, right? As interviewers, it's the same way. We have so many people. This market is so vast that we have to strategize and pick the right people for the right role. And those who are able to show that and then be able to say, "Hey, listen, I am qualified for this role, and I'm being as transparent by asking direct questions to me." That's the person that I'm going to say, "Okay, this person's trying to be very transparent, and they want me to be very transparent with them." They're going to do the same with their prospects, and that's what we're
Mm,
looking for. Somebody who can be direct and not be afraid with the to have those tough conversations, because they will have them at the end of the day with any prospect.
super, yeah, super fair. And that's
Yeah,
really what we're trying to do is as the managers, we're trying to realistically picture you on the team in 2 weeks from now.
exactly.
And if you're already
Yep.
showcasing proactively the stuff I'm going to be asking you to do, it's game on. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
already know you're competent.
Absolutely. I already have accounts that I'm thinking of that, I'm talking with this prospect and I'm thinking, okay, I know this, or this candidate, and I know this prospect that I'm talking to at this account. Would this, candidate be able to handle this conversation? Would they be able to, just hop in and say, listen, I may not know everything about, my company Anaconda, but, let me know what you're thinking of and why you're interested, and let me try to be your point of contact here, and I'll help facilitate and use the resources around me. And those are the types of people that I love to see. And those are the times where I'm interviewing and I'm like, oh, this person's going to be able to sell, Anaconda to this prospect or this company.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, this was like very practical and helpful. And I mean, we're 17 minutes in, and if someone
Yeah.
listens to this for 20 minutes, it'll change their interviews. So, man, cannot thank you enough. I guess last question for you. Any
Yeah.
words of advice or encouragement to people that are maybe still trying to get in, but they're still not getting the offers? Like, what would you tell those people?
Yeah, don't give up. People look for people who have that drive, who want to be in sales. If it's something that you are just like, maybe I'll get into if I land the right break or I have the right interview, that's not the best way to look at it. If you feel passionate about getting into here, take the time. I promise you, it's worth it at the end of the day. And you'll be a part of a team at the end of the day that will appreciate somebody who is driven like you. And so that's what I always say is don't give up. Always try to refine and switch things up. Don't throw your eggs all into one basket and say, this is the one company I want, or maybe this is the one type of conversation I want to have. Be able to be flexible. Try different things and throw out three different ways of applying to companies. And at some point, you want to reflect and say, okay, what's working, what's not, because that's the same way you're going to do in sales. And if you're able to do that for yourself and get yourself a job, it's going to make selling that much easier.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Fully agree. If you can handle the rejection and kind of the slow rolling of getting into tech sales, but you don't give up,
Yeah.
good chance that you're going to be doing really well in the role. So,
Just say, I'm sorry, one other thing is
yeah.
don't be afraid to call the hiring managers or somebody internally. I can't tell you the amount of people who apply for my roles, and the percentage is probably less than 1% who actually give me a call,
Mhm.
and a follow up and personalized email. So now I'm sure that, if anybody sees that I have any roles open, I'm sure my phones are going to blow up in my emails, but I look forward to that. So yeah, if don't be afraid to do that. Become, that unique person and do the sales motion and treat the, applying for a sales job as your job in sales to get your feet wet.
Do the job to get the job. Steve,
Exactly.
thank you. Really
Yeah.
appreciate you and your wisdom and being here today. Thank you.
Of course, Jack. It was always a pleasure being on with you.
Hope y'all enjoyed that episode. Now, look, if you are struggling to land interviews and if you're struggling to progress in interviews and ultimately get offers, I've got two resources for you. One is my free guide that's linked below. This shows you step by step how to get interviews, how to crush those interviews, what to expect, what answers we look for as managers, and ultimately how to get a great job in tech sales. The other link below is actually a link to meet with my team. And so if you're someone who needs help breaking into tech sales, you can't afford to wait any longer. You want to do this in 38 days. That's our program average right now. Grab that link. You'll meet with our team. We'll see if you're a fit for the program or not. Transparently, I don't have a lot of time to help everyone. I work one-on-one with my clients, and so I can only take so many at a time. But we do have some spots open heading into June. And look, if you're someone who is ready to go get a job in tech sales, and again, you don't want to wait, grab that link, meet with my team, see if we're able to help you out, and we'll go from there. And by the way, because you guys are faithful listeners, I want to just extend like a 90-day guarantee where if we decide to partner together and you're not able to get a great job that you're happy with in those 90 days we work together, assuming you're doing everything I need you to do, I'll give you the investment back because I'm so confident in what we do here at Sword. And I'm confident that if you put in the work and you grind under my guidance and instruction, you will succeed. Whatever you need help with, we're here.